It's time for the open house on WHTL.
What are you, some kind of real estate agent?
You're joking, right? I don't joke about real estate.
With the Hanson Real Estate Group.
I never understood why people are so afraid to eat in an open house.
I know.
The open house starts right now.
Every Wednesday here on WHTL, and today we welcome Jacob Lallemont into the studio from Hanson Real Estate Group. Good morning.
Good morning, Mark. How are you?
Not too shabby. Good to see you. What a beautiful day.
That it is, especially after that rainy day yesterday. We're all, enjoying this sunny weather.
The lawns are happy, the plants are happy, everybody's happy, and Butch is happy because tonight we're going to have great weather for baseball. So
very true.
Life is good.
That it is.
And real estate, always an interesting topic, and you've got some interesting thoughts today on the difference between city living or town living and rural. And there really is a big difference. And, when people are considering it, what are some of the biggest factors of whether they want to live in town or maybe out in the country?
Yeah, so there's several, Mark. Obviously city living is all about your convenience, right? You're on usually city sewer and water. You don't have to worry about a private well and septic system. Obviously, you're usually closer to work, you're closer to schools, all that kind of stuff. So there's some convenience there. Country living is, it's quieter, right? Your neighbors might be a mile down the road. You've got that kind of peaceful country living. So it really comes down to, personal preferences and lifestyle as much as anything.
Yeah, I can understand that. Some people like being out in the middle of the country where, they can look at the animals and, you're right, it's a lot more peaceful. But it certainly does pose its own challenges, too. But, hidden costs. There's a lot of hidden costs when it comes to country living. I mean, sure, it's peaceful, but there's some things to watch out for.
Yeah, without question, a big one for people, Mark, is driveway maintenance, right? So, a lot of those driveways are, quarter mile, half mile long compared to city driveways. It's quite a big difference. So, are you going to purchase maybe a tractor and a plow? So that's an extra cost. Or are you going to hire someone to plow it for you, which can be an extra cost? So, and just stuff like that. There's maintenance. Obviously, you don't maybe have the city sewer and water bills every month like you would in the city, but you still got your septic inspection every 3 years required by the county. If there's any damages to your well and septic system, that's at your cost. So there's some hidden costs. Your yards are typically bigger, right? So you're spending more time mowing or might need a bigger mower, that kind of stuff. So there's just a lot of packed in costs that buyers really should consider when they're looking to move out to the country.
That's a good thing to consider because you're right. It can be a lot more expensive because you've got a lot bigger place. So, that's some good advice, especially the snow removal in the wintertime, especially if, you're an older person or an older couple, that's something you really got to give some thought to.
Yeah, without question. Especially around here, Mark, with all the, beautiful bluff country that we have, a lot of those driveways are steep, too, so you need to get them plowed and taken care of, and that's just something that people got to have a plan for that when they're starting to look for country properties.
It's funny you mention that because driving around, my wife and I sometimes will see a beautiful house out in the country up on a hill, and we'll go, man, that's a pretty place. And then you look at the driveway, and my wife will go, I wouldn't want to drive up that in the wintertime. And, it is something to consider.
Oh, without question. You got to be prepared. That's the whole concept with country living. Obviously you get the peace, you get the quiet, the no neighbors. There's a lot of great benefits to it, but you have to be prepared for that maintenance because it usually does require more than necessarily living in town a lot of times.
And the other thing that comes to mind here too, especially with the technology world that we're in today, Jake, you've got internet, you've got phone service. That can be problematic out in the middle of nowhere, too.
Yeah, without question, especially since COVID here where we've seen such a big work from home movement, a lot of people nowadays working from home. Internet's become a big question. Obviously in the rural areas they're absolutely beautiful, but sometimes you do have some spotty cell service or, maybe limited internet options. Now, options like Starlink, some of those things have really kind of advanced and helped the rural communities out, but you got to make sure then you have an open space for that satellite dish. And if you're going wired, a lot of times you're on a limited amount of service. So it's stuff you got to kind of think about. Once again, it comes down to your lifestyle. What do you need when you're looking to buy?
That makes a lot of sense, and especially in today's world where connectivity is such an important part of our world, that's a major consideration.
Yeah, without question.
So now I know you live out in the country.
Yep.
What would you say are the biggest pros of living out in the country from somebody who actually does it?
Yeah, so obviously from my time living out in the country, and I'm actually in the city now, but when I was living out in the country, it was just a peace and quiet. You get some beautiful views out there. As you mentioned, the wildlife out there, it's not every day you have a deer just rolling through your yard in the middle of town, so that was something unique to living in the country there. And like I said, just the quietness of it all. It's just a very peaceful setting out there. And that is really tough to beat, but it is something that requires regular maintenance.
And let's talk about some of the properties that you have available. And I know before we went on air here, you and I were talking a little bit. Boy, there's not a lot of listings.
No, there's not. It's very quiet.
And the listings that do come tend to go very quickly.
Yeah, without question, so if you're looking to sell property, now is a great time because there's just a real limited amount of inventory for people. And there's definitely buyers still out there that really want to get into a place and just can't find it right now.
It's funny, driving around, too, I don't see a lot of for sale signs. So I think you're right. I think there is a good opportunity. If you've got a property or a business or a building or a house that you want to sell, now's a good time to do it.
Yeah, without question. It's definitely prime time summer here. And, with the limited inventory, it's a great time to be a seller.
All right, let's talk about some of the listings that you have available, Jake.
Yeah, so first one here, Mark, is right off State Road 88 between Mondovi and Gilmington here. Just a beautiful little 17.2 acre piece. Could be a great little hunting parcel for somebody, kind of has a little deer camp cabin-y type of deal set up there. Or could potentially be a great building spot if you did want to get out and move to the country there. So, great cover throughout. There's oak stands that provide a lot of feed for deer year-round there. There's some food plot locations that could be tilled up and planted that could add more to that feed, and just a really, really neat small acreage Buffalo County piece.
You don't find small acreages around very much anymore.
No, not at all. Without having to pay the big price tag of 40 or 80 or 100 plus acres, this is an affordable piece. If anybody wants some Buffalo County hunting land right in, the prime time of deer hunting, this is the property right here, and it's on auction right now. We actually have an open house coming up June 13th from 10 to 2 here, and then the bidding closes June 16th. So definitely something to check out because that's coming quick.
Yep, definitely check it out. You can do so at hregroup.com, and it's easy to register for an online auction. Just like any place else, you put in an email address, and you're pretty much there.
Yeah, exactly. We try and make it simple.
What else is on the market?
Yeah, so between Arcadia and Blair here on Highway 95, we've got an absolutely gorgeous duplex right now, Mark, sitting on 23.6 acres, so there's room to potentially build another house if you'd like. Help, have the duplex pay your mortgage. The duplex, both sides, and the shop on the property are all rented out, so you've got some income coming in. Once again, you could build and have, that property pay off your mortgage, or you could live in one half of the duplex and get some help with the mortgage from the other side in the shop. I mean, there's a lot of options there, and with, a nice 23-acre tract on top of it for some potential hunting areas.
23 acres, could you subdivide that into even more properties if you wanted to?
It sure has the potential for that, Mark, no doubt.
That could be a pretty good deal, and it's right between Arcadia and Blair.
You bet, listed at $499,900 right now. I mean, it's a super neat property.
No kidding, for a duplex that's fully rentable and that much land, that's a good buy. And then another property outside of Arcadia.
Yeah, and this is a special one, Mark, here, just off of Lewis Valley Road between Independence and Arcadia. A 3-bed, 2-bath home sitting on 5.73 acres. I mean, it's got a 2-car attached garage, a large 34 by 46 garage a detached garage. So there's a ton of storage space here. The landscaping there's beautiful. And I mean, we talked earlier here about just the views and the quietness of the country. Well, this is it right here. Recently reduced here down to $535, so definitely looking to potentially get some offers coming in here, and it's once again just a beautiful property.
Now, is this a conventional listing or?
It is.
Okay.
Yep.
So you can check that out at hregroup.com, right on Lewis Valley Road outside of Arcadia. Boy, some neat properties, I tell you, really.
Yeah.
And especially now, if you've got a property you want to sell, a home you're looking to sell, it's a great time to list your property through Hanson Real Estate Group.
No doubt.
All right, Jacob, thank you so much. Always good to see you.
Good to see you as well, Mark. Thanks for having me on.
Next week, do you know?
I believe we have Jackie next week.
Jackie?
Here.
All right, Jacob Lallemont with Hanson Real Estate Group. Give your phone number one time.
You bet. That number is 608-863-3928.
Check it out at hansonrealestategroup.com.
We'd broken up for good just an hour before.